This week at the World Open, John Higgins does the impossible, Hossein Vafaei manages to play the perfect cannon, and Shaun manages to avoid playing a push shot. But what was the shot of the tournament? As usual, to find out, I'm going to be recreating all the best shots as accurately as possible before playing them in the fewest possible attempts. And we begin with the Hossein Vafaei shot, where the chances are he wasn't trying to get the cannon, but play the cue ball around the back of the green and finish on the red on the right hand side of the table. Which means I'm going to have a go at it anyway, but it feels like I've been tricked into playing this one, and a big part of getting this right will be getting the correct angle.
This appears to have a very good line. He's got the cannon. Now is he on the red? No, not quite.
In theory, I just need to pot the pink slightly thinner. I'm slightly overdoing it at the moment, but if I can get it in the top half of the pocket, I should have the perfect angle to cannon the green. It's gone in where I wanted it to. I've just caught the red first, but I'm still in the perfect position to get back on the blue. That's about as good as that could have gone, I think. I think I did really well there to control the cue ball over distance and get the cannon. And this next Shaun shot also requires a cannon, but it's all about having things up close, as he manages to pot the black down the cushion as he's already defeated Junhui by 5 frames to 2. This just puts the finishing touches on it, and honestly I don't think this is going to be that difficult.
I'm really not surprised you didn't get this first time. It's almost like there's a reason why they call me the magician.
That wasn't too bad, it was mostly getting the balls lined up in the correct position. On to the John Higgins shot I'm sure everybody's been waiting for, because this is mostly a speculative shot trying to screw the cue ball back safe, but he ends up potting not just 1 but 2 reds. So somehow here I've got to try and do the same, and it might take quite a while. Or I could just do that. I'm going to have another go at this just to show what's likely to happen if you play the shot normally. Well, it's not too bad, a red still went in, so it was definitely a shot worth playing from John, I think. Next up is a really confident long pot from Zhou, as there are other easier pots on, but he turns them down in favour of this red that'll get him in position on the blue. From here he's able to make a 73 break, taking a 5-2 lead, and he'd eventually win the match by 6 frames to 3, getting him through to the final. I think I can just about get away with playing this with a regular cue ball if I give it absolutely everything, and the problem is that's throwing my cueing out a little bit on a number of these shots.
When I see cueing like this, it makes me regret my decision to, retire at the end of last year.
Finally, I've got it, and somehow I've managed to get into the cue ball too well. I didn't think that was going to be possible. Luckily it pots into the corner, but that wasn't perfect. Another good opening red from Tom Ford, who knocks this one down the cushion where you have to be really accurate. Not only does he get this, but he goes on to pot the black and clear the table with 123. I always find it a little bit harder to keep the white going in a straight line when you're attempting to play a stun run-through shot, as I find a little bit of side spin moves it a long way off course. I was possibly hitting it a bit too slowly, but I'm glad to have got that one so quickly. Zak Surety is making a great start in his semi-final match against John Higgins, potting this crucial opening red before finishing off the frame and taking a 1-0 lead. It's always awkward when you're cueing out of the jaws of the pocket to play a long-distance firm shot like this. I'm pretty happy with just 2 attempts, and the white's in a similar position as well. Even though Joe O'Connor's managed to get John Higgins tight in behind the green here, John has no problem swerving around it and potting the red that's over the corner pocket. One of the few advantages I've got with the cloth being slightly thicker on my table is it's a little bit easier to swerve the cue ball, as it grips the cloth a little bit better like this. My first attempt I didn't quite get into it enough, but on my second I've ended up roughly in the same place as John.
If you like that last shot from John Higgins, just wait until you see yours truly playing a proper swerve.
So as you probably guessed, Shaun Murphy's playing a very similar shot, although he has further to swerve around the yellow. But he ends up potting the red over the pocket, over the one closest to it. And I'm not 100% sure this is how he intended to play it, but I'm going to give the shot a go anyway. As I've already explained, it's easier to swerve on my table, and that's why I was able to hit the red direct. What's a lot harder is getting the in off, so I think I was a little bit fortunate there, because a lot of other hits on the red wouldn't have had the same result. Now we're dealt with that, we can finally get back to Joe O'Connor. After John Higgins swerved out of his previous snooker and potted the red, and then played safe to this position, Joe simply replaces the cue ball in behind the green again with an even tougher snooker that eventually led to a chance. But the snooker isn't anywhere near as easy as I've just made it sound. On my first attempt, I played the shot with far too much right-hand side to ever get behind the green, so I've got to reduce it, and that's making it a little bit tricky to find the correct angle and hit the red in the right place.
Just a minute. Where's this cue ball going? Well, it's not behind the green.
I need about a half ball contact on the red to get the cue ball close, and unfortunately I just keep hitting it slightly too thin, and that's preventing the cue ball getting anywhere near. I imagine if I get the contact right like that, I'm going to be fairly close. And it's just about stopped in behind the green. Next up we got Junhui, who's faced with a long distance plant. Not only does he get it no problem, but he also managed to get in position on the black and level up the match.
Come off it, this is way too easy. Back in my day, I like to think we were knocking these sort of shots in our sleep.
In which case, I'm glad I got it first time. A really impressive double from Joe O'Connor now, because he needs it to get over the line and take a 5-2 win against Judd Trump. Not only does he get it, he gets in perfect position on the black and is able to finish off the match. Although the double is fairly simple, as you can see, you can never be 100% sure you're going to get it. I was close there, and this looks a little bit high this time. Not only did Joe get this double, but he actually controlled the cue ball round the back of the black perfectly to leave himself a shot into the right-hand corner pocket. I nearly got there, I've just slightly underhit it. And up against that, another really impressive double from Joe O'Connor. Although it's fairly straightforward, it was in the middle of a really tough clearance, which Joe took all the way to the black, taking the frame and making it 9-6. Unfortunately, Joe would lose the next frame and lose the match. So, which of these is this week's cheekiest double? Both of these shots were incredibly significant, but unfortunately they're held back by being fairly simple, so they only get 3 each. And I'm saying this week's winner is the red because it made the biggest difference. John Higgins might have thought he got Zak Surety safe here, but he can just see enough of the red below the blue and manages to stun it in and get the cue ball into a safe location. From here he'd go on to win the frame. Well, of course, that means I was a little bit out with my first attempt, but I think I'm cueing this okay. It's going to be all about finding the correct angle. I'm getting closer and I've got it. What's the white like? I got into it a bit too much, but it's fairly close. Zhou Yuelong pots this great frame-winning black now to take a 2-1 lead in the match. A match he would lead 4-2 before a John Higgins comeback that would see him take it in the deciding frame.
Well, you're simply not going to win any frames playing it like that.
I think this one's going to be fairly similar to the previous shot, which was all about finding the right angle. And once again, I've guessed correctly on my third attempt. The frame may be over, but Ding still pulls out an excellent pot down the cushion here, and then goes on to make 119 clearance, despite the balls being still in an awkward position. Normally I find with this type of shot you have to play it slightly thinner than you're expecting, and I've just overdone it on my first attempt. I thought I hit my first attempt better than my second, which went in somehow, but I'll take it. Zak Surety's 3-1 up against John Higgins and pots an excellent red off the baulk cushion, finding himself in position on the black. But unfortunately for Zak, he'd only make 8 points off this chance, and John would take the frame with a 113 break. And despite Zak being 5 frames to 3 in front in this match, John would come back with yet another comeback and take the match again in the deciding frame. I'm just having a small problem with this one. I keep putting a little trace of side spin on the cue ball, and that's causing it to throw off line quite a long way by the time it gets to the red. I've got it sorted out though, although I'm pretty close to the black, so let's see if I can knock it in. I've got it, so that's definitely good enough. We've got a Pang Junxu shot coming up next, right after we find Mucky from Peterborough in the United Kingdom, which we can just about squeeze in there. A good long red from Pang Junxu now, and he finds the gap to get the cue ball back down the table. Unfortunately, this doesn't help him out too much, as he ends up losing the match to John Higgins by 5 frames to 0. Considering I needed to get the gap perfectly, I'm a little bit surprised to have got that straight away, even if I did rattle it in. How about this from Junhui to finish off the match, as he doesn't appear to be in position on the green, but he manages to whack it about as thin as he can and knock it in the middle pocket. Almost my entire difficulty here is the setup, because I just don't seem to be able to get both the white and green into the correct place, and that's making the shot harder because I don't know where I've got to aim.
Well, it has gone in, but I think you'd have to say more luck than judgment, really.
Well, that's the World Open nearly done, which took a little bit longer than expected, but all that's left to do now is vote for the winner, and you can do that using the link in the description. We'll be back next week with another generic sounding tournament, the World Grand Prix, but if you can't wait that long, have a look at these 2 previous tournaments, one of which I believe is the Welsh Open. And remember, don't just watch, play, and make the commitment to becoming a better player by subscribing to the channel and visit the website.